Now, France 24's Catherine Norris Trent is at the Place d'Italie in Paris, where that protest will kick off. Catherine, what's the feeling like there at the moment?
Hi, Jeannie. The mood here so far is one of defiance, but the protesters I've spoken to seem quite buoyant. Some of them travelling from far away. I spoke to some demonstrators who'd come down from Brittany in northwest France, and they said they were determined to carry on protesting for as long as it takes, and that they will come to Paris for many more days of mobilisation and strikes and protests if needs be. So here for the moment, I'd say there's a bit of a festive atmosphere, lots of music playing, hot dogs grilling, people feeling that they have got the momentum behind them here. And if you look at the opinion polls out in France, one published just this morning, it showed that support for the government's pension reforms is falling. The popularity levels of Emmanuel Macron, French Prime Minister Elisabeth Borne, is down by 3 percentage points. And indeed, it seems that positions are hardening on both sides. The French Prime Minister, Elisabeth Borne, has said that raising the retirement age from 62 to 64 is no longer negotiable. And that's got her a lot of hard criticisms. Union leaders saying that she should not be deaf to the mass demonstrations taking place around France. So this arm wrestle, this struggle still continuing. There are around 240 demonstrations planned across France. We're expecting many thousands of people to come down here on the streets again of Paris. The goal for the protesters, for the trade unions, is to try and equal, if not better, the amount of people they managed to get out demonstrating last time, which was well over a million by the Interior Ministry figures.
Catherine, we're just hearing now that strikers at the SNCF, the French rail service, are actually down 36.5% today as opposed to 46.3% the last strike day on January 19th. In the meantime, there is this tug of war, as you're saying, even in Parliament. Parliament's debating many different amendments to this pension reform that could stop it in its tracks. Do you think that that's a way of getting the pension reform to stop for those who want to do that?
It could be. The law, the very controversial bill to reform the pension system here in France is now up in front of a parliamentary commission of around 60 French lawmakers, and they are looking at amendments to it. Now, there have been some 7,000 amendments tabled to this bill. Most of those, around 6,000 or so, tabled by the far-left Socialist Alliance and the NUPES, that grouping of left-wing parties who are trying to slow the progress of this bill through Parliament down. Nonetheless, the government says it is going to go ahead. It says the retirement age, not negotiable, but they could look at things like counting more maternity rights or looking at people who've been working from a very young age so that they wouldn't have to work longer than the 43 years. There's perhaps some wiggle rooms there, but there's a lot of political back and forward which is set to take place here before it goes through Parliament. And yes, those strikes, whether striking workers will shut down any of French industry. We know the transport is shut today, but the government's very worried about energy strikes, for example, oil refineries, or perhaps wildcat strikes, local branches of unions striking out on their own. So that's something to look forward to, although it seems the numbers of strikers so far not as high as perhaps the unions would have wanted today.
All right, Catherine, thanks for that. Catherine Norris Trent there reporting from the Place d'Italie in Paris, where the protest is due to kick off at 2 p.m. French time.